Russian President Vladimir Putin has asked the upper house of the Russian parliament to send Russian troops into Ukraine's Crimea region to normalize the political situation there. Now, the Kremlin notes that President Putin had made the request after taking into consideration the threats to the lives of Russian citizens and Russian military in the region. The request also came hours after the new pro-Moscow leader of Ukraine's autonomous Crimea region requested Putin for help to ensure peace. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama has warned Russia that there will be costs for any military intervention in Ukraine. The Newsfirst International Desk, which has been closely monitoring the rapidly unfolding developments in the region, filed this 360-degree report.
The United States will stand with the international community in affirming that there will be costs for any military intervention in Ukraine.
A sign that the tensions in Ukraine are far from over. Obama also noted that military intervention in Ukraine would not be in anyone's interest.
Any violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity would be deeply destabilizing, which is not in the interest of Ukraine, Russia, or Europe. It would represent a profound interference in matters that must be determined by the Ukrainian people.
Meanwhile, at least 20 men wearing the uniform of Russia's Black Sea Fleet and carrying automatic rifles positioned themselves by a Ukrainian border guard post in Balaklava district of Sevastopol, Crimea, yesterday. Ukrainian media, citing local officials, said 13 Russian aircraft carrying nearly 2,000 suspected troops had landed at a military airbase near Simferopol. The report remains unconfirmed. Yesterday, Ukraine's acting president, Alexander Turchinov, said that Russia had begun an overtly aggressive campaign against Ukraine.
The Russian Federation has begun an overtly aggressive campaign against our country. Under the pretense of military training, they have brought military force in the Autonomous Republic of Crimea and have not only captured the parliament and cabinet of ministers, they are also attempting to take control of civilian strategic points such as communications. They are trying to block the local Ukrainian military forces.
Meanwhile, Russia's UN ambassador Vitaly Churkin said yesterday that any Russian military movements in Crimea are in keeping with Moscow's existing arrangement with Ukraine on the deployment of military assets in the former Soviet Republic.
Well, of course, as you know, we have an agreement with Ukraine on the presence of the Russian Black Sea Fleet with a base in Sevastopol, and we are acting within the framework of that agreement. They need to refrain from conducting a hasty presidential election, which most likely is going to create more friction within the country. They need to stop trying to intimidate other regions and other political forces.
Ukraine's UN ambassador Yuri Sergeyev said he had sought the assistance of the Security Council.
We asked the Security Council to consider the situation in Ukraine as seriously as it is and to undertake the appropriate measures to assist us to stop the dangerous developments which are challenging the international peace and challenging our territorial integrity.
Ukraine's political crisis began in November when deposed President Viktor Yanukovych rejected a trade deal with the EU in favor of a similar agreement with Russia. The move brought thousands of Western-leaning protesters out onto the streets, calling for his resignation and closer ties with the European Union. Since he was deposed, tensions have shifted to Crimea, where the majority of the population are ethnic Russians.